The Beach FM Business Lunch Show, brought to you by PlaceMakers Kapiti Horowhenua. Together we're building New Zealand.
Welcome back to the Business Lunch Show on Beach FM 106.3. Well, let's talk real estate now, and let's welcome into the show for the first time, it's Ricky Bartlett from Howard Co. G'day, Ricky.
G'day, Damon. How's it going today?
Yeah, very good. How are you doing?
Yeah, look, really good. It's a busy time of the year at the moment. Historically, you would say that it should be a quiet time, but to be honest, right now in the markets, especially on the Kapiti Coast, it is far from quiet, and there's a lot of action going on, a lot of activity.
That's awesome. I mean, like, the more and more I talk to people in the confidence that are around the region at the moment, it brightens me up, mate, because, you know, it seems to be, we're almost, if not there, you know, it seems to be business as normal, but you wouldn't think we just had a pandemic, you know, so.
That's totally true. I'll be honest with you, we had, I follow the stats, obviously, with each month of sales on the coast, and obviously in April we only had 9 sales, but man, did it bounce back? It really bounced back in the following month in May with like 76, I think it was, and then June 95 to 99 sales. So, you know, there is a lot of confidence here, and a lot of people want to be up here. I mean, the obvious answer is that Transmission Gully is making everybody want to come to the coast, but it's part of the equation, no question at all. But just the fact that the Kapiti Coast is such an attractive place with such a lovely place to be, and that's fueling people's interest.
Absolutely, mate. Well, before we get into the nitty-gritty about how everything is looking at the moment, what I like to do is I like to get to know the people that we're talking to. And I know a lot of people might hear you with Ron on the evenings talking a bit of sport, but how long you been in the real estate game? What made you get into it, and how long you been working out of the coast? Yeah,
that's a good start. Well, I've been in real estate now for 13 years. So I've been working out of the coast for 13 years, and I got into it sort of by accident. I was working working for a radio station actually down in Pororua, and I was doing selling some ads for them, and I tried to sell an ad to Chris Packer up at Tommy's here on the coast, and he said, "Well, I think you're wasting your time, and you should come and sell houses for me." So he pointed me in the right direction. And I went off, and in that time, it was pre-2008 when the REAA came into being. So I was able to get my accreditation done within about a month, and which you certainly cannot do now. And I was able to start work with Tommy's here on the coast, and have gone from strength to strength. Really, I've really enjoyed my time.
Hell of a time to get into real estate game, mate. I was working for a bank back then.
I tell you what, you would never have believed it. I mean, I turned up, and the market was absolutely firing. Of course, this is the end of 2007.
Yes.
And I remember it was Christmas, and everybody was just jumping up and down about how positive everything was. Yep. And we started. I started on the 3rd of December. I remember it well. And by probably the end of January, February, I was wondering what I'd done, because all of a sudden the market just completely stopped and just plummeted downhill. And it was a pretty tough gig then for the next year, I guess, just trying to scrape a living, because people just weren't coming to the market. It was people were coming to the market, but nobody was buying anything. So it was hard work. But over the last 13 years, you get into markets like that, and you learn to ride them, and you learn to work through them. So it was an interesting time to begin, that's for sure.
I usually ask how the first line of business, kind of what was that first hurdle that kind of smacked you in your face and you need to learn pretty quickly. But a global financial crisis will do that to a person. So during that time, I'm guessing you're not. I know in your game you'd be a lot of proactive as well as reactive, but that time would have been a lot of learning. I'm guessing utilizing your time wherever you could.
Yeah, totally right. I mean, when you start in real estate, to give you an idea, when I started in real estate, there were 1,000 houses, I think, on Trade Me listed, or just under, around the 950. You could get onto the Kapiti Coast area, and you could choose from 950 houses. You go on today, and there's about 200. So the market then was pretty. There were listings galore, but they just weren't selling. And I remember I picked up a few listings, and that was great in those first few months. But the battle was trying to help sellers understand that the market of 2007 had gone, and this was the new market, and that you had to almost put your arm around them. And I remember being told, it's how you give. Whoever gives the bad news best is going to do well in real estate, because you literally had to put your arm around people and feel them crying as you told them the bad news, and helping them through realizing that if they didn't drop their expectations, then they were probably going to do even worse in the long run. So that was a hard game, but it was a great lesson for later on, when the market is always a bit of a peak and a trough. And when we were in the down market, you were ready to go and you knew how to deal with it. But so it was a real education. But what was also a real education was the fact that my wife joined Tommy's at the same time, so that both of us were selling in a very difficult time. And it was a lot of fun, but it was also a little bit stressful at the time.
I got to ask, was there a bit of competition between you and the wife?
Oh God, absolutely. Yeah,
like a star chart on the fridge at home or something.
Yeah, there was always the check of how many units somebody sold and who was leading and things like that. So yeah, definitely fired each other up, which was fantastic. But we had a lot of fun when Donna was doing it. But now it's just me, and it's still a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
Excellent. Hey, mate, over the last 13 years, you would have seen the market change immensely. I mean, I know when I bought my house 9 years ago, I think it's doubled in price at least now.
Yep.
I think we're even a bit more than that. But, I mean, the region, how have you seen that grow in itself? How have you seen the prices go up and down?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been an evolution, that's for sure. But where we are at the moment, I've never seen anything like this. This is definitely, obviously, the highest we've been at. But it's not so much that; it's also the amazing amount of interest there is on property at the moment. So it's so stacked against a buyer. It's very, very hard. In fact, I deal with buyers all the time, and you're always saying the same things, and you're always getting the same reaction. People who don't like buying in this market, and it's totally understandable. I know that. I mean, we work for the vendor primarily. I mean, we work for the buyer as well, but our main focus is on the vendor. So we work and sell houses in methods that suit the market and suit the seller. So, and people don't like it, and they don't like deadline sales. They don't like auctions. It's hard because you just don't know what you're going to have to pay. Because at the moment, unfortunately, you can work out in your mind what a house should sell for, and then somebody will blow that apart. But because they just have to have a place, and they've missed out on 5 already, and they just, these sort of circumstances. So it's very difficult for buyers in this market at the moment. And I mean, we have had other times like this where it's sort of gone up quite considerably and then plateaued, and that was, I guess, when the expressway sort of first, not so much opened, but when it began to be visible to people, when you could see the expressway there in reality, all of a sudden we had a bit of a surge then. But at the moment, this is quite an incredible market, really, in the amount of interest we're getting in the Kapiti Coast. I mean, I hear a lot of people talking about other parts of the country that have slowed down and what have you, but we're talking the coast, and in this area, it certainly hasn't done that, and the lockdown hasn't seemed to have affected it at all at the moment. But I mean, we may be on a delayed reaction. Who knows? But that's something we'll have to keep our eyes on over the next few months.
I think it's something that's going to be in the back of our mind, but the way things are going, I think us as Kiwis, especially on the coast, I mean, I think we can start planning forward, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to ask. It's obviously a seller's market at the moment. Now, what's the follow-on effect when someone goes into the market and spends $30,000 to $50,000 over market price? Does that mean that their house is now worth that amount, or is it still based on market price? And how does it actually affect the follow-on?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I mean, when somebody at this moment in time, the biggest thing people say to me is that I don't want to overpay.
Yes.
Don't want to overpay. And you say, well, why is that? What do you mean by that? And usually it's, well, if I need to sell in 5 years' time, I want to make sure that I'm not going to lose money. And for me, I try to explain that, first of all, 5 years is a long time. So if you're going to live somewhere for 5 years, you want to live somewhere that you want to be living in, because that's a long time period. But also, again, with the Kapiti Coast, can you overpay at the moment? I mean, I've had people say 3 years ago, I think I'm going to overpay on this house. Yeah. And then now they're saying, well, God, I would have spent 50 grand more. And so, the market sort of determines the value of a property, and that's what's happening at the moment. The value is what the value is. What you have to pay for it is the value. Yeah. And I think the only thing you can be sure of at the moment is that in 5 years' time, your house price is not going to have gone down on the Kapiti Coast. Whatever you pay for it, it's going to, it is the value, and it will remain so for a good period of time yet. This market isn't going to start going downwards or downhill anytime soon. So, but I mean, it is a reality for people. They are nervous, but another thing I say to people is, to be honest, you only know if you haven't overpaid if you come second and somebody else pays more than you. So is that what you want? And it's the fact of the matter is, at the moment, you're going to have to pay the most to buy a house, and so look, if you want to live here and you're going to be happy here, then you've got to try and pay the money.
Absolutely. Hey, mate, we've seen COVID bring the world closer together, if you will.
Yeah.
City centre businesses are going back to their local regions. People don't have to spend 50 minutes in a car anymore because, the bosses said that it's not worth it. So we're seeing more satellite locations, which I guess in follow is going to be people looking for more houses. So get to the point, Damian. The question is, are we looking for the old family 4-bedroom, or are we looking for the 4-bedroom with the office out back, or the separate entrance, or how are people thinking at the moment?
Yeah, look, again, I mean, you're right. People are thinking that way. We have had a lot of people who are now enjoying the fact that they had the lockdown. They realised that they can work from home, and they'd like to do so. So, yeah, we're having a lot of 4 bedrooms, which people have always in the past anyway looked at a 4-bedroom house as a 3-bedroom house plus a study, which crosses off as or doubles as a spare room, and that's been very popular. But no, you're right. People are looking for that little place at the back of the house, maybe, or the part of the garage that they can turn into a work from home. But one thing I think I've noticed over the last few years is that the market has just become, you can't really define what a house is or who's going to buy a house at all. I mean, we used to have this, a few years ago, if somebody was an investor, for instance, buying an investment property, you knew that they were after a cross-lease unit that was probably 2 bedrooms or maybe 3. Now, that's not the case. People are buying, a 4-bedroom house, 2 living areas on maybe 900 square meters of land, and they're buying it as an investment property. Yeah. There is no such thing as an investment property anymore, or an investment property type, if you like. It's anybody will buy anything that they think they can make some money on it. At the moment, we've had a lot of that. But with people who have been in lockdown, you're absolutely. If you've got a listing that has got an area where people can work from home, or it can double as a work from home area, it is very attractive and sought after, no question.
Brilliant. Lastly, mate, and this might sound like a weird one. People aren't traveling. They're going to look to where they spend their money, whether they put it into the house that they're living in at the moment, or if they're looking to upgrade. And I'm not going to lie, I've watched a lot of Love It or List It. So do you have any tips? Have you got any tips out there for anybody, whether they are thinking of selling? Is there something that they should do before, if there's little upgrades or anything like that, or should they just get in touch?
No, without question. I mean, get in touch, because it's great to be able to talk and point things out that maybe I know buyers are looking at and sellers may not notice. But there is no question. and I totally understand this, that selling real estate is not rocket science, right? And I get that. But it is making sure the detail is done, because what buyers feel when they walk into a property is they're looking for what we call money off. They want, or they're not wanting, but they will see anything that they think, well, money off there, I'm not going to pay for that. That'll have to be done. So you want to remove as many of those obstacles as possible. Sometimes that's can be slightly bigger, like recarpeting, because I can assure you, if somebody walks into your house and they see that it needs recarpeting, they will treble the price that it's actually going to cost them in their mind. So that's what happens. So they don't have the realistic picture of what it does cost. So trying to make presentation of your property the number one key factor is the best thing anybody can do in any market, but especially in this market, because most houses we know are going to sell, but we want to make sure that we're getting the absolute best price you can by presenting the house in the best way possible. So, yeah, getting some advice on those sorts of things to iron out is going to make you money in the long run, rather than, I know it's a cost now, but it's a short-term cost. It'll be a long-term gain, no question.
That's the one. Ricky, mate, thank you so much for your time today. I won't take up too much more. The last question I've got for you, and I ask everybody, where can we get in touch? How can we reach out?
Look, give me a call on you can use my 0800 number, 0800 474 259, or 0800 4Ricky. Feel free to give me a call. Very happy to come along, have a chat, and look, even if you're not, and I say this all the time, even if you're not looking to buy or sell at the moment, you're just interested in the market and would just like to, be kept up to date about the market over the months to come, I'm very, very happy to do that. Just give me a call, and you've always got time. No problem at all.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today, Ricky. Ricky Bartlett from Howard Co Realty. Go well, mate. We'll catch up soon.
Hey, thanks a lot, Damian. Cheers, bud.